Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to have a detailed review of my Zvesta AK pistol. Now I realize I might be standing a little close to the camera, but if you look at my wind ribbons, I mean the wind goes up to about 20 miles an hour. So basically I want you guys to be able to hear me. So I'm going to stay close, and I think everything should get within the camera. Basically I have had this pistol, right, for about some 5 years now, maybe more. And as a pistol, without the shoulder stock, I found that the gun was really not very shootable. Okay, it was too big to really be used as a pistol, not stable enough to be used as a rifle. So with the SB brace, okay, and basically that is a forearm brace. Well, that's supposed to be a forearm brace. So it's, basically it's a quasi stock, because my fist is not going to fit through that hole. Okay. So this is a stock. It's solid. It is a legal stock. Okay. And basically the way this attaches is basically you unscrew that hole right there. You drop the grip down just a little bit, and then this basically just slides up. So this installation took like less than a minute. Okay. Now, of course, it only attaches at the bottom over here. So obviously this is not the strongest thing in the world. I mean, this is not, you're not going to grab the stock and try to beat somebody over the head with the rifle, okay? So that's, this is just for the purpose of bracing it against your shoulder, okay? So that was easy enough. So we got the stock on there. The next thing I put in there was this booster. And basically what this booster is, it's basically a linear compensator, also known as a diffuser, and the purpose of this is to redirect the gases downrange, because this gun is extremely loud, okay, without anything on it, and there is a detent pin that basically goes in there, and that was like the first thing I lost. So right now there's no detent pin holding this in place. It's kind of just screwed in, Midwest Industries is kind enough to send me another spring without charging me. So great company. So the detent spring came from Midwest Industries, and the rail also came from Midwest Industries. And I spoke to them a couple of times on the phone through this project. The way this system is set up, this takes an aim point red dot, okay, and basically the red dot sits low so that you can co-witness between the iron sights, okay? So this is how this is set up. Now you can also get this with a standard Picatinny rail, where you can just put any red dot on it, that sits on a Picatinny rail, and that is not going to co-witness. And I'm considering also getting that and being able to swap it in and out as I like. Okay, so that is an option you guys may want to consider. Now getting this rail system on was work, okay? I have to give a special thanks to Fire Mountain Outdoors, okay, for their video that they posted on YouTube. There is no way I could have got this in on my own without watching their video, okay? So extremely, useful to me, and this is also the reason why I do my videos. I hope they'll be useful to other people. So a special thanks to Fire Mountain Outdoors, okay? Oh, and just so you know, this I bought through the SB brace came through Optics Planet. That was about $100. The rail, it's normally $144. I got that for about $77. The booster was about, I think it was something like close to $50 with the shipping. That came from CN Warrior, okay? So now, as far as the booster, basically, it is supposed to reduce the noise of the gun, and it does nothing like that, okay? And I think part of the reason is because, the way this is set up, I think the way AK brakes fit on, okay? We got that 20-mile-an-hour wind moving the camera right now. The way the AK brakes are, they go on kind of loosey, even with the detent pin, and I believe that fix this camera. I believe that the gases are basically escaping through the back. And in order for me to shoot this, I have to double up on the ear protection. So I got these plugs on, and I got I gotta double up because I'm 47 years old and I shoot every day, and I can't take a chance of basically because I'm exposed to so much gunfire all the time. As a firearms instructor, I don't want to lose my hearing. And the thing with ears is, all loud sounds cause ear damage, and eardrums don't repair themselves. So the damage is cumulative. It just keeps building up. Okay, so that's why you gotta make sure you protect your ears when you're shooting. Obviously, protect your eyes. Okay. So going back to this gun, first thing we're going to talk about is the accuracy. Something I was able to do with the with the brace on it that I couldn't do before is basically support it on the bag front and back. Oops, there goes my target. Okay. And with the 20-mile-an-hour wind that we have today, I still managed to get an average grouping of about 6 inches. Okay, that's basically, that's just looking at the tight clusters. I did have a couple of flyers, like one out here. I know one dropped down here, and I'm going to kind of discard those. Number one, because I'm using tool ammo, and I know from experience that with tool ammo, you typically get, out of 10 rounds, you're going to get at least 1 flyer, sometimes 2. All right. So, and the other thing is, like I said, we got this wind today, so I'm going to discard the worst two shots, and I'm going to call this a 6-inch grouping at 110 yards, and at the 75 yards, I'm averaging about 4 inches. If you look at this cluster, again, I'm going to discard these 2 flyers up here because, like I said, the wind is pretty brutal today. Okay, but I do have a very nice cluster, and I think that might even be more of the ammunition, the tool ammo, because this is I see this very typically with tool ammo, where you'll get 1 or 2 flyers. So basically 6-inch grouping at 110 yards, which I think is excellent because I have a Radical AK pistol. A Radical AR-15, Radical Firearms AR-15, and basically I get 6 inches at the 6 to 8 inches at the 75 yards. At 110 yards, I have a hard time getting on the paper with the AR pistol. Okay, so the AK round is doing really well at distance, and the why of that will be clear in a second when we look at the energy. I ran this through my chronograph. You look at the speed, okay, and basically velocity-wise, I'm getting basically somewhere between, at the low end, 2,033 feet per second. At the high end, 2,151 feet per second. Basically, I ran through this a couple of times. I'm averaging, let's say, 2,065 feet per second, averaging 2,073 feet per second. Energy-wise, let's say I'm averaging 1,155, just below 1,200 foot-pounds of energy. Okay. So basically, here's the thing. This is an 8.5-inch barrel, okay? And this 8.5-inch barrel is getting almost the same energy as an AR-15 with a 16-inch barrel, okay? And the reason, is because obviously it's the heavier bullet, and I believe because it's a heavier bullet, it probably has less gunpowder. I mean, I don't know the details of that, but I think it's the same concept as the 300 Blackout. I think that the 7.62 by 3.9 is getting a more complete burn inside of the 8.5 inches compared to the 223 round, in that same distance. Actually, my AR pistol is 7.5-inch barrel, so it's actually 1 inch less than this. But there is a big difference in power. When I shoot my AR-15 pistol, I mean, that's averaging about 650 foot-pounds, compared to the, almost 1,200 foot-pounds of energy with this. So this is doing a really good job of keeping its energy, okay? Because, if it's getting close to 1,200, I mean, I think with the full-length full-length AK-47, you're getting about 1,500 foot-pounds, okay? So I'm only losing about 300 foot-pounds of energy. So energy-wise, this is doing very well, and I think that is the reason why we're getting a decent grouping at 110 yards, because the the round is traveling pretty fast. The round is traveling pretty fast, and I think the fact that it's a heavier bullet, you know, I think that might contribute to it being less manipulated by the wind. Now, even though you know the wind has, because it's going slower, the wind has more time to work on it. Well, I mean, I'm not going to get into the science of it, but the fact is that I'm getting a very good grouping out of this rifle at 110 yards. Now, comparing this to a standard AK, right? There's a standard full-length AK. Hold them up here. Okay, so here's the thing: if I shorten the stock, collapsible stock, and if you look at where the receivers are, basically at the same point. Okay, so if you collapse the stock on my AK, all right, and then the difference is up here. Okay, now mind you, with this booster over here, this thing looks a lot longer than it actually is. Let's screw it for a second so you can get a better idea of where it is. Okay, so that's where the muzzle actually ends. And like I said, there's supposed to be a detent pin holding this in place, which I lost the spring to, so that's coming in a couple of days. Okay. So if somebody were to ask me, should they get this gun? I mean, I would say, you know, get the standard AK first, because, you know, I don't think you're really, I mean, this is a cool novelty. I don't think that, you know, I mean, you need the stock, all right? You got to have the stock, because when I had this without the stock, I mean, the gun really wasn't usable, and the stock really needs to be at least this long in order for this gun to be, you know, for you to be able to control the gun. You know, the shortened rifle barrel, I don't think it makes that much of a difference. I think it's a really cool novelty to have. If you happen to have an AK pistol already, you definitely want to get the stock on it, okay? If you don't have one, I would definitely say get the standard AK first, and then after you're into 2 or 3 regular AKs, yeah, at some point get the AK pistol, because it's a fun gun to shoot. Okay. Now, one of the things I'm trying to figure out is with my standard AK, I've got the scope mounted over here, and that's working pretty good for me. Okay. Now, the only problem with this is, for one, obviously you can't co-witness to the iron sights. And because this sits higher, I had to put a riser on the stock in order for me to get behind the scope the way I'm supposed to. Okay, so without this little piece here, I sit too low on the gun. All right, so that's the thing with the standard AK. If you're gonna mount your scope on top, you need to do something with your stock so that you can get your face a little higher on the gun. Okay. With this gun, with the AK pistol, okay, because it's on the gas rail and co-witness, that, you know, basically you can get right behind it. Okay, and I don't need, you know, basically the stock is fine. And I'm trying to figure out how much I like this. Now, one issue that you may have with putting the scope there is that, you know, this area here gets very hot. So if this gets too hot, it'll fry your red dot, okay? So that's one of the things for you guys. Basically, if this gun is too hot for you to touch with your bare hand, you better stop shooting. You know, give that red dot a chance to cool. This rail a chance to cool down so that you don't fry that optic, okay? So that's kind of rule of thumb. Make sure that you're able to hold this rail with your bare hands. Don't go putting on some gloves and just keep shooting, okay? So depending on how I end up liking this, that's going to determine if I want to, down the road get maybe gas tube rails for my other AKs, or if I want to stay here. I mean, I do kind of like having it back there because it just, first of all, I think the gun's a little better balanced. Now this gun being shorter really, doesn't affect it that much because it is a little bit shorter. So that's one of those things I'm going to kind of work with, okay? With this AK. But fun gun, and one of the cool things is I got these the Serbian mags that lock open on the last round. Right, then you have to pop it out to let it go. Get some gears on. Okay. Now these Serbian mags are awesome. They are reinforced. Okay, basically you can take an empty mag and beat somebody to death with this. That's how tough these things are. Okay, never, you know, if you get a chance to get a bunch of these, get them. Got a couple of rounds loaded here. I got the primary arms red dot. One of the things I don't like about it is that you have to start from one, you know, and work your way all the way around. You can't go like from 0 to like 11 or something like that, because it is not bright enough. So I have to go all the way around all the time. One of the things that you'll notice with this gun is a muzzle blast. Fun gun to shoot. If you guys got any questions or comments or anything that you guys should look into, let me know. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.